What is more important? An average-sized game world with no loading screens, and this is like GTA, or a much larger and diverse game world with periodic loading screens like Borderlands 2. So you have to load, but it could be like a snow world or a jungle or like some other thing like that. Which do you think makes it for a better game?
I would pick the diverse one personally, because right now
Even with loading screens?
I'm playing Dragon Age 2 right now, which is small world, very similar, and lots of loading screens. I can tell, like, just because you have to
Isn't
jump
it just
between
one city?
pretty much, and like a little area outside the city, and it gets really tedious. But I don't mind loading screens to give me a chance to eat food or take a drink.
Unless they're like insanely long, like 30
Yeah,
seconds.
well, like Skyrim's got absurdly long
We've
ones.
come so far in technology that loading screens, if you have them, should not be longer than 10 seconds. Remember Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, the fourth Spyro game?
Don't even remind me.
It had, I think you put it perfectly when you and I first talked about it. It had a loading screen for its loading screen. But no, I don't think we like.
That was when Spyro died.
Yeah, I agree.
It was when childhood me died.
When Insomniac Games gave up the rights to that.
A decade because of that game.
Crash Bandicoot was still good for one more game. Wrath of Cortex on PS2 was pretty decent.
I played. I never owned it, but I played a few levels of it. I remember because somebody owned it, and I was like, "Oh, I played Crash."
It suffered from the fate of it's the same thing over and over again, but sometimes the same thing was pretty good there. Yep.
It lasted for 3 games.
There you go. But I would say, why can't we have both? Like Skyrim, on the other hand, like you can go from one end of the game map to the other end with no loading screens, and you see a change. Like it could be like a fall autumn setting, and then you go way the hell up to the mountains, and it's like snowy blizzards.
I guess this question would be more relevant like back in like the PS2 days when it was like you had a limited.
You had a choice.
But then it was like GTA San Andreas came out and it was just like fuck all your rules, and it was just like this giant world. There's 3 different areas and. 4 different areas.
I also another example I use with like
5 different areas. Sorry.
Another example is a Journey. When you first start playing Journey, it's all sand.
But that's a different thing. It's not technically an open world.
They have cinematic loading
rails.
screens.
Yeah, it's a cinematic load. Oh no, that's true. Because I remember when I was watching like the first like gameplay videos of that, it was all sand. And then when I first played it, you said just wait till near the end, and next thing I know, I'm in a snow tundra area. I was like, "What the hell is this crap?"
Hand motions everywhere.
And then it's the saddest moment I've ever experienced in games was at the end of that game. No, I'm losing my love of open world games. I never played GTA 4. I have no real desire to play GTA 5.
Well, now you do because it's coming out for next gen and PC.
I think when they announced it at the press conference for Sony, I was just like, that's cool. But I was never like, oh, wow.
I was like, that's happening? I didn't think that would happen.
I had a hunch it would happen. I figured
because when you play it, it's a good game. It's a good Grand Theft Auto game, but it didn't feel like it was as much of a step ahead as GTA 4.
It was a stopgap. What was that?
That's what I felt. It was like I felt it was like here's something to tie you over until we can get our next gen game up and running. But then they put it out on next gen because it's been almost 8 months since it came out, or something like that, and they still don't have heists, which was a selling feature. They don't have GTA Online heists. Really? People bought it just so that some people bought it so that you could design your own heists and do them with your friends.
That's ridiculous.
And that
sounds so cool.
And now people are saying that was the reason why it's not coming out was because they wanted to wait for the next gen and then they could kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
That's
and there was also a joke going around on forums the other day that it was like they said, "Oh, when are heists coming?" And they were like, "They're coming in spring." And so then it was like, "What is it today or yesterday? That's the 21st."
Yeah, today's first day
so
of
it's
summer.
just like there's like somebody tweeted to the Rockstar in his account. And it's just like, "I can't wait for heists to come out tomorrow," and they didn't announce anything. So it's just like, oh yeah, can't wait for that.
But no, like let's what's another good example? Well, let's use the Borderlands example as the example for that. I remember when we played Borderlands 1 when we first started playing that. We played in this it was like it was like a desert area at first. I remember the names because you guys played a lot more Borderlands than I did. But then you would go, there'd be
I want to play more Borderlands too.
I'm doing an Ultimate Vault Hunter playthrough with Richard right now.
I would be down to play more Borderlands now that no, I still don't have the PS3.
Nope,
not happening.
Nope.
Yeah, it's just I'm trying. There's got to be another game that I can use as an example for Borderlands. One that I played a lot of.
It's just the best example for what I was describing to say.
Yeah, but if we're just talking about like just the use of loading screens in general, I also agree with you. If it's a loading screen, if it's there, it's there. It's a good like break.
I don't agree with that at all. I don't necessarily think that there's an argument between like the GTA version of where it's like open world, nothing loads other than like when you go into a building, you get like a 2-second loading screen.
That's where that's my cutoff though. Like we've reached the point now where it has to be like 2 seconds because that's the same thing with Skyrim. Because you can go from one end of the map to the other and it's fine.
Going somewhere new, though. But
when you go into like a building when you go into like a city or a town, that's when loading screens are obscenely long. But then when you go into like a small building, it's not. You don't even see like the Skyrim or the Oblivion loading screen logo. It's like it fades out, fades in. You're in the building.
Yeah, like whenever I'm playing Skyrim, sometimes I will try to fast travel to a specific building, just so I can avoid some of the loading screens. It takes so long.
And that reminds me of the Fallout New Vegas loading screen thing for your safe house. A lot of people, there were 2 different safe houses. There was one in the Lucky 38, and there was the one in Novak, right? Yeah. And so the one in Novak, you would spawn, take like 2 steps, walk up some stairs, and you were in your room. And it was like a motel room. For the Lucky 38, you had to fast travel to, it was like New Vegas, or it was like outside of the New Vegas. So you had to go through the gate, which was a loading screen, into the Lucky 38, which was a loading screen, into the hotel, or into the elevator, which was a loading screen, and then you're in your room.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of people that didn't even use the best safe house in the game because there was a quicker one that you could get to.
What's another one? Mass Effect. I hate going through the Normandy. Or I hate going through the Citadel.
The original Mass Effect, yeah.
Mass Effect 3, the Citadel, because you're doing a quest on one floor. And then you have to go down to another floor to do more of the quest, but then you talk to someone, their quest's back on that other floor.
Mass Effect 1 was also really bad with that, too.
Well, it's just because it was so big, because they did the you're walking and it loads kind of thing.
But I remember, I would go... See, Mass Effect 1 tried to hide loading screens. That was their big problem. The elevators were meant to be loading screens.
Do you remember what was it? It was a Mass Effect 3. It was like, do you remember our conversations in the elevator? Do you miss that? Yeah. And it was like, no. No, I do not.
But I remember when you're walking around the Normandy, you would get up to the one door, and it would be the green, and it would hit enter, and then you would enter and just stand there for 5 seconds. You can move around, and then all you hear is... I was like, okay, you guys are... Get on Star Trek's level. Really. Come on. Where it's literally just walk in, not... Mass Effect had pretty bad ones. Also, Mass Effect had a lot of problems. Their inventory system.
Yeah, Mass Effect 1 inventory system.
Hey, I was the original. I played the original for all you guys. I suffered through that.
You suffered before you even know what was to come.
Yeah. The Mako was hilarity in itself.
We'd already been spoiled, Lee.
Yes. We were tainted. But all in all, Mass Effect 1 was a really good game.
Yeah.
Oh, the vigil scene at the end.
Well, Sarah's still doing a playthrough right now.
I've been so tempted to... if I could just play Mass Effect 1 and not go through 2 and 3 again, I don't... it's just... See, that sounds blasphemous, but at the same time, just replaying Mass Effect 1. Just so good.
I was in Walmart the other day, and I saw Mass Effect 1 on sale for Xbox 360. And I was like, wow, that's just kind of random that I just saw that on the... I was like, memories.
Doing Caveman Shepherd right now.
Oh, you still got Caveman Shepherd? Yeah. Okay, who was it who was doing Thelonious Shepherd?
That was me. That was you? I did that was my first full 3-game playthrough, was with Thelonious Shepherd.
And then there was your Scumbag Shepherd playthrough.
Yeah, I did that for YouTube, and that was just, I started up Mass Effect 2 just because I wanted to play Mass Effect 2.
All I can say is that Mass Effect makes you feel really bad if you do renegade decisions.
Yeah. It doesn't.
No, one of the few renegade decisions I've ever made was, I think it was in 2, it was either 2 or 3, where I killed someone by electrocuting them by taking one of the electric coils off a ship, walking up behind him and
Sergeant Kathka.
Yes, that was it. There was also, and then because I felt like the only renegade, if you're doing a full Paragon playthrough, the only justifiable renegade option is Kai Lang at the end, where you just turn around and just say, just stab him. It's like, this is for Thane and Miranda, you son of a bitch. I did that. I dropped the controller. I was just like, fuck you, Troy Baker.
I heard that he read out the email that you send him or that you get sent. That's just like, oh, that's your command, and then but it's actually like
like the one where he's like just chirping you the whole time.
Troy Baker read the email out. I told you that what I thought the response, if you could put a response to the email.
Vaguely,
it would just be like, "Lol, you mad, bro?" and then like signed the Shep. Send it to him.
Okay.
Back on
topic.
Yeah.
Always goes back to Mass Effect.
I think that I prefer an open world. Like, it's so hard because when we're using the example of Grand Theft Auto, it's just like I want to go to that. But I mean, like, there's not really other. I guess something like a Fallout sort of thing, but there are loading screens temporarily. But I mean, if you're just talking about the overworld in a Fallout or Skyrim,
what about Infamous? That's another example.
Yeah,
Infamous
and
is
you can't even go in a building.
No, you can't.
Maybe in Second Son you can. I have no idea.
No, I haven't played Second Son, but no, like actually, if we're gonna use Infamous as an example, what I love with Infamous was it was just one continuous thing.
Yeah.
So, I love the diversity that you get in say Borderlands, but the flow and the fluidity of just I think it's the same thing coming up in Sunset Overdrive as well, where you could just hop and jump from building to building to building and just go and grind and everything. It's just like, yeah, that was pretty cool. I think in the best world you enjoy both. Like there's certain things that like
mostly open world with one or two loading screens.
It's like Infamous. Like the last Grand Theft Auto I played was San Andreas. So
that's a very good one to end on, even though I guess a lot of people had mixed feelings with 4. I really liked it.
I heard good things about 4.
I saw where they were going with it, but I don't really think that if you're talking about what is the most Grand Theft Auto-iest Grand Theft Auto game, 4 would be the lowest on the poll. But and then they kind of went back to it with 5, especially with like all the updates. I have mixed feelings about how they're updating like all the guns and cars and outfits and stuff, because now with the outfits it seems more like a Saints Row than it does a Grand Theft Auto. But
there's another example, Saints Row, but I never played that.
You're doing yourself a disservice because it is so utterly hilarious.
The only thing I love about Saints Row without playing it is the fact that there's a voice option in Saints Row 4 that's just Nolan North. It's not voice 1, voice 2,
and
voice
then
3.
I think voice 1 is Troy Baker.
Yep, voice 1's Troy Baker. Isn't there what's the guy who does the voice of Anderson in Mass Effect?
Keith David.
Keith David as Keith David.
And he also does another voice in the game, like so it's Keith David doing somebody else, but it's still him. but yeah. So I think that it's harder to say something like that when the loading screens are so short nowadays. Yeah. But if
Keith David, Saints Row 4, himself and Julius Little.
Yeah. So, but if the loading screen is small enough, like I think there's acceptable loading screens for Borderlands. It'd be cool if in the next one, like you hit it and it would just like fast travel and then you're there. Yeah. Like that's how fast it would be. I don't think it would happen. But
I just feel like we gotten to a point in technology where I'm not a software engineer, I'm not a computer programmer, but it should be there where loading screens can be eliminated completely.
Well, there are some mods for Skyrim on the PC where it's just like you go to a new town, doors just open.
But why are they there though? This is my ignorance like coming into play.
Why are the doors there?
No, why are loading screens there?
To load the next area.
Like could that be it? Like so just like save memory, save assets for pretty much the time. Is that it? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Like that's why have you played a game where you've tried to open a door and it takes a little while to open?
See, because from what I know,
they're loading what's past the door.
What I know about Skyrim is this is how I knew that was the reason why the PS3 version was so choppy and like it had frame rate issues that they could never fix.
They fixed them eventually. It's not too
bad. At least they didn't have the hat glitch like New Vegas had. Did you ever hear about that?
You've told me about it before, yeah. But
you had to wear the hat all the time.
But I remember with Skyrim is the reason why it's kept slowing down was because all the instances, everything that was in the area was still there, and the game's memory had to continuously process that stuff.
I don't know how it works from a technical standpoint. Is there like a bubble that's like in the middle we load all the textures, and then as it gets farther out the textures get lower, and then it's like now this isn't even visible to the player. But it still has to be recognized as there.
It's there, but it's not fully rendered yet, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, the bigger you make the world, the harder it is the more stuff has to load.
So it's like,
so then you're also combining that with like 5 or 6, let's say, towns that have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of NPCs and a lot of like different things. And if you have to like load all of those at the same time, it's just
well, like in Skyrim, you can stand on top of the tallest mountain, and they actually had to render some stuff outside of the map so that it looks real enough. Like you can see stuff from one of the other games.
I heard something about that if you like no clip in
you
Skyrim,
can go into Morrowind. Yeah. You can go into Morrowind, yeah. No, I that actually brought up a lot of people saying like, oh, that's there as a placeholder. They're going to release DLC where you can go into Cyrodiil or you can go into Morrowind or all the other like places as well, which would have been cool. Yeah. Which I think you can now do in Elder Scrolls Online, except I have no desire to play it.
I heard there's a lot of people just running around in their underwear and stabbing things.
Pretty much.
or crawling around like in chains with each other or something.
So they're playing Hamilton then. That's what you're saying.
I guess,
yeah. It's hard to say. Like open world games, I don't have any like those are the like not on my list to play.
You know what the most open world game of all of them is?
Minecraft.
Pokemon.
That's fair.
How so?
Can you name a loading screen in Pokemon?
You walk through the door, you're in.
Yeah.
I guess that is technically a loading screen, but it's not a big one at all.
But I guess you can say at the same time, like, I'm not opposed to open world games because they're open world. After all, one of my most anticipated games right now is the new Zelda. If they live up to the saying that it's going to be truly open world.
Like, you see that mountain? You can go there.
But yeah, that was funny. Isn't it beautiful?
Green screen.
But yeah, no, like, Infamous I loved. Still haven't played 2.
Infamous 2 is pretty good.
Yep, I haven't played it. There's also, like, but Grand Theft Auto, man, I don't know what it is with that game. Maybe because I cheat too much in that game.
Well, you can cheat, but not really.
Oh, they kind of got rid of it? Okay.
I came across my book of cheats for Vice City and San Andreas the other day. Like all these printed off sheets of paper that have all the codes.
That's funny.
I was like, oh, nostalgia.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I'm not really sure. Like, it could be either way, especially, like, with technology. It's so... The line is blurring.
Yeah.
So...